So, it turns out Wi-Fi 7 is not the golden goose of network connectivity that we hoped it was. One of its key selling features, MLO, or multi-link operation, turned out to be not quite as straightforward or indeed as high performance as a number of different brands in the world of Wi-Fi 7 have promoted. This is all thanks to a report from Ratings, RTINGS, a Canadian-based website and YouTube channel, where they did deep forensic testing of network connectivity on Wi-Fi 7 to see just how much support of MLO these brands were providing and the true extent of MLO. MLO, for those that aren't aware, is when you have multiple connections at 2.4, 5 gigahertz, and in some cases 6 gigahertz, not the smaller devices. It allows you to aggregate all of those collections. In theory. If you don't implement it properly, you actually end up with a situation that's a little bit more like something called load balancing, and that is when connections go down one path after the other, taking advantage of them all, which can unfortunately lead to aggregation of poor connections, such as weaker but long distance ones at 2.4 gigahertz, slowing down the overall connection of all of them happening at once, unlike traditional aggregation, which combines them all and they're all happening at the same time. Now, as mentioned, it's not bad if these pieces of hardware don't include that feature, if they at least are clear about it. But unfortunately, more and more of the marketing materials that were shown off and detailed by Ratings showed that a lot of these brands really over-egged the capabilities of MLO from the Wi-Fi 7 standard versus what they could actually provide. In many cases, the hardware is there. Unfortunately, the software implementation and the gearing of the systems internally was not done to the proficient standard to provide full MLO. But does this mean that Wi-Fi 7 is a waste of everyone's time? Well, no, there's still lots of other advantages. You've still got access to 320 megahertz connections on the 6 gigahertz frequency. You've also got access to better OFDMA and an improved 4K QAM, which effectively, in the grand scheme of things, means better slicing up of the frequency, as well as better connections, amount of data per transaction of data there. You've also got better steering with preamble puncturing around blockages in the network. The key takeaway here is that when these brands are talking loud and proud about the capabilities of aggregating connections with MLO, the reality is that a number of them can only really do glorified load balancing. Now, this might be a feature they can add later with firmware updates or hardware improvements there, but it might increase costs, increase power consumption, and ultimately result in more expensive products. So it's really a case of whether client devices, like those you use every day, are going to be able to take advantage of this or want to take advantage of this, whereupon router manufacturers will follow. But nonetheless, transparency is the key here, and there hasn't been enough transparency about this. So huge credit to Ratings for publishing the report and the video. I've linked to those below. I recommend you check those out.